Hello, Dave Graybill, fishingmagician.com, and today I'm at the entrance to the Quincy Wildlife Area. Not far from the town of Quincy, there's 15,000 acres available to people that visit this area for a lot of different reasons. Everything from hiking, biking, horseback riding, rock climbing, and one of my favorites, fishing. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of the various lakes in the wildlife area. They have a special distinction as they open every year on March 1st at the very early part of the trout fishing season. In fact, for many, it's the starting gun for their season of trout fishing here in Washington. Dave Graybill, fishingmagician.com, on our tour of the lakes within the boundaries of the Quincy Wildlife Area. I've stopped at Stan Coffin. Stan Coffin is the first lake you'll see when you enter the wildlife area, and it's very popular with bass fishermen and cat fishermen, and there's also bluegill available here. There's so many largemouth here that the state has put tags in many of them, and they ask you that you release these fish with a tag because they're using those to determine the growth rate of largemouth bass in the lakes over here. Also, you may encounter some plastic barrels out on the water. Please leave those alone because there's probably catfish in those. Also, there is a boat ramp right here that is adequate for boats of the size that you'd fish for walleye from, or bass fishing boats. So this is a great place if you're a fan of largemouth bass and catfish and bluegill. My next stop on the tour of lakes in the Quincy Wildlife Area is at Quincy Lake. This 54-acre lake is very popular with trout anglers. It gets annual plants from the Department of Fish and Wildlife of both catchable and fry, and so it's always loaded with fish. Also, it's often included in the annual trout derby conducted by the Quincy Valley Chamber of Commerce. And when the derby's on, they usually put some real whoppers in the lake just to spice the action. There's good shore access also on Quincy Lake, and that just adds to the appeal of Quincy Lake for trout anglers here in Washington. My next stop on our tour of the lakes here in the Quincy Wildlife Area is at Burke Lake. It's a 69-acre lake, and it is one of those trout lakes that gets lots of plants every year. And it's also one of the lakes that's included in the annual trout derby by the Chamber of Commerce in Quincy. And whenever they have a derby, they add to the number of fish and they add big fish. So in March, look for the announcements about the annual trout derby. You'll have fun, win some prizes, and catch some beautiful rainbow trout. As you can see, they've made some significant improvements to the launch and parking area here at Burke Lake. And another reason it is very popular with trout anglers is that there's very good shore access up and down the shorelines on both sides of the lake. So it's a great place to bring the family and the kids and enjoy trout fishing here at Burke Lake. I wanted to include Dusty Lake in my tour of the lakes in the Quincy Wildlife Area. It is known to produce very large rainbow trout, brown trout, and tiger trout. It's accessed via a trail that's a mile long that takes you down to the water's edge, and it is advised to take a float tube or a pontoon boat to effectively fish this lake. And you'll often see in the mornings anglers headed down the hill with their tubes and pontoons on their back. This is a selective fishery lake, and that means barbless hooks and no bait, and most people that fish Dusty practice catch and release fishing. But if you're a fly fisherman, this is a great opportunity to catch some very large trout here in the Quincy Wildlife Area. I am now at Evergreen Reservoir. This is a 247-acre reservoir, and it offers great fishing for a variety of species. Largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, crappie, bluegill, walleye, perch, and even tiger muskie. So this is really a good one. There's a really good boat ramp here. There's fairly good shore access at this end of the lake, and it can provide a day of fishing fun, believe me. So put Evergreen Reservoir on your list of places to try when you come over to the Quincy Wildlife Area to do some fishing. Before I leave the Quincy Wildlife Area, I wanted to mention the walk-in lakes. I'm at the trailhead for Ancient Lake. This is about an 8-acre lake, a small lake in comparison to the others, but it's popular with people that like to bike to their fishing location or hike to their fishing location. Because you bike and hike, Ancient Lake doesn't get a terrific amount of pressure, so you could expect some pretty good fishing. In addition to Ancient Lake, there's Cup, Cliff, and Crystal Lakes. Those are all rainbow lakes, and they do receive plants and very little pressure. As I mentioned earlier, the lakes in the Quincy Wildlife Area open to fishing on March 1st, a month prior to other lakes in the region. The lakes close on September 30th, so there is a long season ahead for people that want to come and enjoy the variety of activities that are available here in the Quincy Wildlife Area, particularly the fishing. Don't forget to check in with the Quincy Valley Chamber of Commerce about the date for their annual trout derby. They do an excellent job. It's really designed for families. The kids all get some kind of prize, and it's just a lot of fun. So look for that. Check in with the chamber around the 1st of March, and you'll be able to get all the information about their annual trout derby. Well, thanks for coming along on this tour of the Quincy Wildlife Area, and I hope you get a chance to come over and enjoy it.